If someone wants to record, please do it. So because I'm not going to do that. Now here we got to know the shape of the total utility function, the slope of it. We know the marginal utility. And there we identify the negative, the marginal utility, and also positive side. And like I explained, the consumers, the rational consumers take the decision. This diminishing marginal utility is margin. It's what we call concept, the law of diminishing marginal utility or marginal return. So what this stage, the law of diminishing marginal stage, the one consumers take the decision. And we should understand how consumers optimize or the equilibrium if buying several goods. The initial state we assume that the goods and the prices and the income that we try to get maximize utility subject to budget constraint. So they are the condition, what we call first order condition, like we discussed, apply this is equal the marginal utility per dollar. The marginal utility per dollar. So if you exchange, if you buy several goods, each of goods, like whatever number of goods, this has to be, let's say, n number of goods has to be equal. If something happen inequality like this, for example, in this case, to reach the equality, the people automatically adjust and buy more on X and less from Y, then automatically adjust the market system. Now this table also we explained the last time. Here the marginal utility per dollar. So the condition is should equal. So here you can see here the equal, which means the one basket, the first order condition or necessary condition satisfied from X, the basket, let's say A, X to buy 3 unit, from Y per unit. So when you buy that basket, that condition satisfied. But a problem here, you can see here, there's another basket which satisfies the same condition. There from X you buy, from Y 5, both buy 5. Now here, these two baskets satisfy this first order or necessary condition. Now, to decide which basket you go for, it depends on your money income. Now, assuming that you have, like I took last time, $50, then you can value the basket and you can see we go for which basket. For example, first basket, if you buy 3X for Y, you can see that the price of X $2. Here the price of Y $10. With that, the cost, the basket A, to buy cost the basket A, you need $46. To buy basket B, you need 50, 10, yeah, $60. Now imagine you have only $50. In that way, only you can go for the basket A. So that, but you see the consumers and people willing to go for the basket B also, because the more satisfaction you get. If you calculate the satisfaction of the basket B, 54 must plus 198. Satisfaction of the basket A, 44 plus 178. So always the rational people, individual people would like to go higher satisfaction. Definitely in that way, like to buy basket B, but the thing is no problem. Issue is the money income. In that way, they have to satisfy with the basket A, which means utility 45 plus 178, which means 123, so 223 amount of satisfaction that particular person can get. Now look at the country also like that. If you take this whole country like this, identical individual, countries, let's say the 1 million people. So in that you can see the they are depend on, let's say, the 50 million is the GDP. Only you can go for social welfare satisfaction, the A basket, which means X3 and the Y 4 by, and the welfare amount of, we multiply with 1,223 million, the welfare only you can get. But imagine if country wants to go for higher welfare, which means 54 plus 198, which means 252 amount of welfare, to 252 amount of million welfare level. Then the country need the GDP $60 million, which the gap here 50 to 60 is $10 million. What Sri Lanka does, take the loan from China and other thing, try to fill the gap. When they took the loan, 10 million not enough, because it's about 40% with this current and after 2009, the big commission and corruption money come. So here to add with that only another 40%, which means 14 million we have to borrow from China to bring the society this level of welfare satisfaction, 252 million. So the country use this money for consumption in that way, because the production level still 150 million level. If you look at the production possibility frontier, 50 million level, the production is still production possibility frontier. To reach the level of 6 million without reaching production possibility frontier, move in that direction to reach the welfare level somewhere here. What we did continuously, we borrow money. As I said, borrow more than that also, because the corruption involved the 40% or something. So in that way, borrowing we should be able to hear, but unfortunately society is here. Now you can imagine why we are in now debt crisis, even the domestic debt crisis and the foreign debt crisis. So with that, you can see that this whole week closed bank and things, also government hiding information. And again, somewhere future, so much issues come because the government try to hide information and thing also little bit come. So some of you do your assignment also, you can look at how the people, different age, different income group or different people, willingness to do those kind of restructuring, debt restructuring, and what thing government introduce shock, how people willing to face it. Those kind of assignment you can do rather than write the impact of microfinance and SMEs and the kind of conventional topic. So there are plenty of issues there. Pick up the issues and do a study as an experiment for this exercise, because I'm not going to give marks like you are doing kind of a study, get some result. I'm giving marks to how do you do the study and innovativeness and the creative things there. So last week we discussed, I explain again. So the last week we also came to the ordinal utility theory, try to study that we have to learn indifference curve. So the last week I introduced or defined the indifference curve, and already different shape of the indifference curve, but usual shape is this. And go to higher indifference curve is considered as the more satisfaction. And this also I discussed with strict preference, weak preference, and indifference also. The symbol also I used to discuss with you. If this symbol used, it means strict preference. For example, X strictly preference, preferred strictly, bundled Y. X preferred strictly. And also we discussed this symbol also to define the word indifferent, which means X and Y are equal preferred, no favored. And the third one is the weakly preferred, and the both ways going strict and the indifferent, that weak preference. And so this explain here these three concepts. It's one indifference curve along these three baskets, X1, X2, X3 basket. Same preference, same satisfaction. For example, 10 units of satisfaction or utility as a consumer gain. So you can see the symbol and that express indifference. Now, if you are an individual buying this basket from X to this amount and X1 this amount, like that the buy now this basket or this basket, same amount of satisfaction you get. Now, if you look at this 2 point Z and Y, you can see strict preference. Y is most preferred one. The Y basket is there because it's a heavier basket and more. But the only thing is to reach the Y basket, like I explained as a country also, need more money. Then the policy should be the production possibility frontier, not borrow money and do that. Borrowing money, if you do dynamic nature, present consumption, present satisfaction, you try to increase the future expectation. So what you do is the borrowing money, you have to pay, let's say now 2023, maybe you have to pay 2030. So what you borrow in money mean what you are going to earn or your children going to earn 2030, you consume right now. You see how bad as a country if doing like that. The borrowing money, if you invest, that's fine. But what you're doing, the wrong thing, and give the more subsidy, samruddhi, welfare, all the thing, just borrowing money. It's bad for the future society also, because they have to earn for us. So that's the problem. Now, these three indifference curve, you reflect strict preference. Now, this also we discuss the properties of indifference, mainly three, not never cross indifference curve, same good, same person, and same time. The different time period, different person, and different type of good could be this, but the same it never happen. And also this positive upward slope in indifference curve never happen because the at the basket A, the B is always bigger than people like to be. This also never happened in indifference. because the both limit, if you look at two different basket and the two different basket, same indifference. Two indifference basket mean the heavier basket and smaller basket. For that, you have to spend much money. That we can't be happy. I stop, I hope, last time. The important thing is the indifference curve we have to understand. It's also ID. Slope. If you have get the indifference curve, like indifference curve like that. Here slope, the marginal rate of substitution. If you X here, the Y here, it's about willingness to pay or willingness to substitute X for Y. Or Y for, in this case, Y for X. For example, if you want to increase consumption from Y, let's say the 8 to 10, you have to sacrifice, you have to substitute X turns 10 to maybe, let's say 8. So this way to be. So that is the willingness to substitute. Another. So MRS that we get. How much my consumer need to compensate for losing the little bit about X. It's about the maximum amount of consumer would be willing to pay for additional X. We need to sacrifice. We need to that we can call it willingness to pay Y for X. If you explain like that, XY. Otherwise, you can say willingness to pay X for Y in that marginal MRS has to be this way. If you this way, right? X for Y, this is Y for X. Okay. Okay. And again, let's go to the whiteboard. Now, let's say you have a utility function like this. Let's say some number here, of Douglas, two goods, X1 and X2. Let's say here 3, here 2, power. So suppose this is the utility function you have. Now, that's the indifference curve. Now, you should be able to find from here the marginal or MRS, marginal rate of substitution. To find the marginal rate of substitution, you have to find first marginal utility of X and also marginal utility of Y. So marginal utility of X divided by marginal utility of Y, you get the MRS. So finding this MUX, the exam question I gave you, I think the last time I explained already, you get 2 marks. So that is very easy. So that it become the marginal utility of X. The marginal utility of Y, sorry, not Y, X2. I used X1 and S2. Sorry. Marginal utility of X2 in X1 power 3, X2, like that. So now to find the marginal MRS, what we have to do, this divide by this, which means the 15, X1, 2, X2, 2, divide by 10, X1, 3, X2, like that. So with that, ultimately you get the 3 divided by 2, here, up to this, X1, to this. So this is the MRS. This is the MRS. Now look at the, you get, you have the equation, this one. If you have the independence curve, x1, x2. Now look at the MRS. If you look at the two different places, so this is the utility. Come here, just put hypothetical some figures. Let's say here 10, here 2. Now find the MRS, what have the x1 is 10, 3, 2, divide 10, here 2. So MRS is 3 divided by 10. Now look at somewhere here. Let's say x1 5, x2 also 5. Different combination, point B. So we can find the MRS 3, 2, 5, 5. So you can find easily MRS given the point like that. So the exam, one part of the question like that, find in this one, I'll give 2 marks, here 2 marks, up to here 2 marks, and find the answers, another 2 marks, about 8 marks, you can get this kind of thing. Okay. So that's about the MRS, the marginal rate of substitution or slope of difference curve. Now you see the two different people, two goods, they are in difference curve, behave differently. It depends on your preference, in their preference. For example, they are Angie and the Marx. So now look at the indifference curve more steeper, which means the more important soup than the bread. The other person, the other way around, give more preference to bread than okay, different shape in difference curve. When you talk about the shape, now look at quickly. I think this is the point I stopped last time. Now look at the two goods. X is neutral good. Neutral means you are not specifically focused and just day to day you assume it's a neutral. You don't need to worry about it's a reduced, increase or consumption. The Y is a good. It's a good. You like it. In that way, two goods. The Y-axis is the good one. Here, neutral. So the independence curve like that because the people is a good, like to consume more. And the other one is keep the natural neutral. So indifference curve moving up this direction. Why? Any increase in the quantity of X make no difference to the consumers. So no different because the X neutral, like, I mean, no peeling. But then if you compare these two, indifference curve move this direction, more different. Now look at this one. Imagine a small child is a medicine. It's a bad, good. Or maybe some children also, exam also bad, good. And the playing maybe good, like industrial, so you can see. Now in this case, X is a bad, good, like maybe your exam or attending this kind of classes. Or Y is a good. So how indifference curves go? Because you try to move away from the bad, good, and indifference map, this nature you can get. But the more y to y. So that's another shape. And now this is also look at up to certain level, the one good, the good after that become bad. Let's say alcohol. Maybe even the wine, some people say that's good for cholesterol and maybe certain, but if you take over, it become bad. So that kind of some goods also taking more and more. There are some services also taking more and more bad for your health and thing. So in that way, the indifference curve comes like that. So goods indifference after that you try to move away and this direction move. So the certain level, let's say 10 glass of wine at the same time, if you take maybe consider it, but 10 is too much. After that, not good for the health. So in that way, become bad, good. So the Y is normal, good. Now, let's say the two goods are substitute. Here I use the 8 kilo rice, the 5 kilo rice. Whatever the rice, same rice, only the packet weight different. So if you take this rice, both rice in that way. So that's the perfectly substitute. So in that case, the perfect substitute indifference curve like that. Constant flow. Constant flow. Now, for example, we are in two shoes, they say same color, the opposite black two shoes, because the same one, if you wear the same every day, it's maybe bad smell and thing, you wear the, so perfect substitute. You close your eye, even pick up no matter, because whatever you take and the same brand and same thing, and the perfect substitute. And the other one also, the one is why what we can increase or decrease consumption Y without considering X. This kind of good, what we call perfect complements, they are indifference curve like L shape. The usual one of the example we use left shoes and right shoes. Left shoes and right shoes. They are, if you are a right, increase in only right shoes, you don't get additional satisfaction. If you increase simultaneously, you have to increase the Y also. It actually reach to another point. So move in this direction, get the additional value. Now, the shape of the indifference curve, but the usual shape, like I explained before, perfect substitution, always what we draw, usual shape of indifference curve, I mean like this, convex indifference curve. Two goods. This imperfect substitution, you have the perfect substitution and originally the straight line, this imperfect substitution. So any questions, anything?
Professor, earlier in one of your slides, you mentioned that when one good is good and one good is bad, it would be kind of, if you can go back to that slide, it showed kind of an upward sloping curve. Whereas earlier you mentioned like that is an impossible curve, right?
Yes, I thought you will ask that question very good. Now this one, if you take a single complete indifference curve like this one, so it explains the move in this direction in the indifference curve map. Not a single indifference curve. If you take a single indifference, yeah. If you take the single indifference curve, it's a valid same argument. And, mathematically, the indifference curve, of course, the entire it's like that. Since you remember the ordinal utility approach, we use the marginal utility of substitute, MUX, marginal utility, and people don't consume or take the decision this range and this range also. That's true if you mathematically people just want to only get this negative slope part. So if you take the single good, if you look at in that way,
we can't see the screen.
Speak.
We can't see the screen.
Oh, really? Oh, I did not share. Sorry. Now can you see?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now this is the one you asked me. If you try to explain using indifference curve map, not a single indifference curve, the map we try to explain. I try to explain the move in this direction. Move in this direction. Indifference curve, but it's still valid shape. Like I explained, the indifference curve slope. Theoretically, we take this negative slope side, negative slope range. Why? Like you remember, I explained the marginal utility, the curves goes like you take the single good. If you take the single good, this we don't consider this area, and we don't consider this area also when you come to the real world decision. Otherwise, mathematically, the entire indifference curve like this. The entire indifference. We take only because the negative slope, the marginal utility side. That's why the indifference curve also we theoretically in negative slope. These are kind of again too good exceptional, because here when we explain we take the imperfect substitution, not the bad good and the y good. When you take the usual substitution to explain, so it's still valid. The negative slope of the side only take. We don't take the positive slope in that way. Either you belong to this, maybe some part you belong to this one. And again, here try to explain in indifference curve map move into this direction. It doesn't mean that, like you said, the single indifference curve, if you take A to B, if you take that concept here can't apply. Just to explain the bad good and the good situation. I hope you got the point. If you not read the books, Hull variance, intermediate microeconomics book, there you will understand some more detail.
Okay, thank you.
So we came to the budget line. That is another important concept to understand or analyze the consumer's behavior. There are two things important budget line. We call the consumption possibility curve, also another word, the budget line. And to understand, we must need to get the money income and the market price. Now, for example, if the market price is, let's say, 2 goods, X is $1, Y is price is $2. If you have with you $10, so with that you can develop the budget line. Now let's say this excess suite of X, this Y. If you expend your $10 to only buy X, definitely somewhere here you can consume. But if you spend only to buy Y, somewhere here you consume. So it's a linear line. We can connect this one, draw like this. in so many possibilities, consumption possibilities. So within this area we call budget set. With this budget set, you can expend anywhere. But the optimal consumer, the rational consumer try to optimize and then, of course, consume on the line. If you the dynamic analysis, of course, some of the consumers present earning give them future satisfaction. That is the reality. So I don't know that standard level. I can teach you enough time, or that's a dynamic analysis. So that's a usual pattern. But the thing is, many people in the country, as a country, do other way around. Future expected earning, try to expend right now, more satisfaction. So those things I don't discuss here. Now here, to say the budget line, within the budget line, we call budget set. Anywhere you consume, for example, A point, you have enough. That's what called feasibility. In the budget set, anywhere B, C, D, E, whatever, that was feasible also. But the optimal allocation, optimal. Now, somewhere here try to reach, let's say, F point, not feasible, not enough income in that way. Either you have to work hard, increase your money income up to, let's say, $12. In that way, what happened? You can see here 20, somewhere here 10. Then you can reach that level. Or otherwise, given $10, the market prices must be reduced. Now, instead of PX1, if the market price drop down by the government or something up to, let's say, 50%, the other one also some amount, then the budget line can push this direction. So you can see the policies, especially fiscal policy, the treasury can handle this one, the people, the better. Now, what we try to do sometimes, pushing this earning more productive and reach to this kind of F-level expenditure. That's where we get trouble, especially the microfinance, also so many suicide also happen. Because then fill this gap without those loan and things expend properly, investment purpose, always postpone to the future. In that way, we are come from point, no option other than suicide. Now, like has a country right now, almost like suicide to the general public, except politicians, they enjoy. So, I mean, as a country also, you can fix this kind of analysis. Now, this is the budget line again, and what we have to understand, what the slope of the budget line, why shift budget line, why rotate budget line, and different type of budget line in the different policy packages. So that understanding we try to do that. So again, let me put the slide. I hope you can see the slide right now. So also called budget line. Now look at here, the one I explained. Income is $100. The price is $20. PY is $25. So with that, if you budget line, if you maximize, consume from Y, we can buy only 4 units. Only by X, you can buy 5 units. Here, 4 units. And the slope of the budget line, there, to get us 0.8. Now here, again, the budget means the income and expenditure. That simply everybody knows. The budget is income and expenditure. One side you have income, one side expenditure. So budget means balance, or you expend less than what you earn. Equal or less than earn. So let's say the expenditure how to come in case of goods, the price, let's say the X and Y, price of X plus price of Y equal to M. Now this is the budget line. If you set equal, we can rewrite here. Let's say if you get the side Y, this axis X, then you can see the PY equal M minus PX. So this is the y-axis, then you can make the y equal M divided by P y Px divided by Py X. Now, important thing is you have to understand if you draw the budget line, so if you look at X is 0, you can find the intercept here. That means M divided by the money income Py. Likewise, here also intercept you can find, which means M divided by Px. So linking these two, you can draw the budget line. With this, you get the slope. The slope, you get the Px minus, of course, divided by Py. That's the price ratio. And you can see it's a negative, the price ratio. Now, the previous example, the money income is 100. Now, look at if you fix it to the price, previous example, what you remember, the money income is 100. Py is, if I remember, 5 minus, let me see. Yeah, the price of Y is 25, price of X is 20. The price of Y is 25, price of X 20, here 25. So this is minus and X. So this we call the budget line. And the most important thing is here the slope, but we have to understand the budget line. So given the money income and prices, you can derive this budget line. If you differentiate the budget line with respect X, so you can get the slope, that's the Px divided by P1. So now look at again. Look at again. Like I explained, the point A, the expenditure is less than the income. Because the income is here, there is the point B, if you look at the expenditure equal, what is the amount you spend. Point C, the expenditure greater than the income. Now, what we discussed before, the slope of the budget line, like I explained before, these two goods, and this is the how much you expend for X is how much we spend for Y and total money income. Now, like I explained before, this is one of the important things, the budget line, the slope. I go back, I will show you. Here, the slope is the one for the important concept. Slope is the price ratio, or we call ERS. ERS, economic rate of substitute. Now, we saw that the independence curve slope, MRS, the budget line slope, we can call as ERS, economic rate of substitute. It's about substitute Y or X for Y or Y for X. So, economic rate of substitution. Yeah. Now, the change in the budget line. You can obviously see change in the budget line, completely shift will happen. One, the way the change in income. If income increase, completely shift. The other thing constant, the price is constant, completely parallel, shift that. Income reduce, shift inward. The other thing constant, price and other constant. To proportionate change in the price, one good price change, the budget line rotate, same proportion in the price. The same thing happened, for example, P X and PY, same proportion increase or decrease together one direction. Again, same thing happened, budget line shift outward and inward. When income constant, for example, same proportion, the price, same direction in the budget line shift. Disproportionately, then the budget line rotate like that. Now, in this case, you can see price of X increase. When the price of X, this one have, if you think of the decrease, if this is the original budget line, one, if the price of method rise, method decrease, but the price of X decrease, budget line rotates anti-clockwise. Price of X increase, the budget line shift clockwise. So that's the same example what we did before. I think I have some more example. Now, if you take example, now let's say the previous case, what the money income in price of X, 1, price of Y, 2. So can you draw the budget line as the original given? Take a few minutes and draw. Now the second exercise right now do, if the money income increase up to 12, a price without change at DC. 1 and 2. Third exercise, if the money income same, original level, let's say 10, the price of X only increase up to $2, and the price of Y keep same level, $2. When you draw these three budget line, and so I'll give you 2 minutes. With that 2 minutes, can you draw? And then you can see how what happened to the budget line. Sorry, I forgot to say, drawing the same graph, not the three different graphs. The drawing the same graph. I hope you have done. That not be difficult. So you say the X is here, Y is here. Then from X only you buy 10. From Y you have 5. Then the original budget line get like that. The second one, the money income increase up to 12. Let's say somewhere here. Yes. So that the second budget line completely shift parallel like this. And the third one compare with the original situation. $10, the price of X increase, the price of X increase mean 2, then you can buy X also 5. And the budget line rotate like that. So this, you can see the first cases slope did not change. The last one, the slope has changed. Because if you look at the slope, the price ratio, you can see has changed accordingly. Now, imagine to exercise like the budget line, price X price of X, the government imposed tax, they say the 50%. Now original $1, X here, Y here. What happened? The government imposed budget line. The after tax, what the price increased by 50%. Then the budget line move clockwise. Now look at the situation. The X, you can buy up certain level, let's say X up to 1 normal price. If you buy more than X1, the price become double. Or maybe government imposes 50% tax. Certain goods government can give in that policy because into the sustainable and the nutrition value, due the normal price. After that, you buy, kind of consider additional buy, have to pay 50% tax. So can you draw the budget line? Now usual budget line like this. Now what happened? Certain level, let's say by the family members averaged 4, then up to 4. That's X1. Government let you buy normal price, no tax. Up to here, no tax. So after that, a 50% tax, the budget line come that level, and the new budget line. So in that way, the budget line become complete budget line like this. Which means after a certain amount of, in this case, 4, additional if you buy. Like, now look at something like it's a very important for the society, like education. Certain level, let's say, government give free up to buy the food also, since the malnutrition and things also, some families, let's say low income families, give food. Let's say others, so all the other come. Then the budget line become like this. This amount, let's say, the budget line become like that. So up to here, let's say rice. Government can bring a policy like that. Give per week, assuming that the 3 kilos enough, 3 kilos of rice free of charge. 3 kilos of rice free of charge. So in that way, the budget line like that. Or maybe government can give a coupon. With that coupon, you can get the free of charge, 3 kilos. After that, if you want to buy more, apply the budget line. Another thing also, the government or even the private businesses can give discount. If you buy more than some amount, let's say the more than 3, if you buy the discount. So they say without discount the budget line. Let's say some items, X is the other, all the other item. Now, the seller say, if you buy more than 1 unit, you get a discount price. So here up to this silver normal price, the discount price, after that, the budget line goes like this. So in that way, complete budget line here, like this coming, that to be this line. So at this point, after you buy, discount apply. So the different policies and different cases, you can draw the budget line and you can see and you can analyze. So that's all about the budget line. If you have any questions, then okay. Now look at here. The consumers, like I mentioned, we have to go understand the equilibrium or the best choice. Like consumers usually maximize utility, go to this direction. For example, UI, U2, U3, in that way, reach to highest indifference curve. And satisfaction also U3 higher compared to the others, and people like to go this direction. But the thing is, as which they can't do, they tie with the budget. This is the budget line. In that way, the maximum or efficient level of consumption can reach point A. Level, what we call the optimal basket or demand for X and Y. That's why we derive the demand given price in that way. We can see the price reduce or increase this demand change. In that way, we can derive the demand curve. This way, we understand the optimal result. There are two ways it may happen. One way, the consumers try to maximize the utility. The other way, consumers may try to minimize their budget or expenditure, minimize cost or expenditure. So first, if you look at the maximized utility, which means the consumers try to go like this, reach to a indifference curve. 1, 2, 3, 4, like this, go to this direction. So maximize utility, go to this direction. But we can't do like as we said at the preely, because the budget constraint already there. Now, if you bring the budget constraint here, stuck with the budget constraint. Now you can see with this scenario, the consumers either consume this point A, B, C. Somewhere like that, D, not preferable, though they like. But the ABC is preferable, they like. So the rational consumer at the end reached point B because the point A expending same amount of, let's say, $100, expending same amount, their satisfaction level would indifference curve some value, let's say here 12, indifference curve 2, let's say 20, indifference curve B, let's say 25. So ABCs, though they expend the same amount of dollar, A, B, and C. B and C, they get the level of satisfaction, let's say utility, only 12. But they spend in 100 B point, they get the utility 20. That way, the rational consumer definitely select this point. Now, otherwise, if you still consume A, inefficiency, decision inefficiency consumers, that happen exactly the government sector. That's why the government, if you go for quotations and the bidding and this kind of thing in the buying, the people satisfaction, the government expend maybe $100 to same thing. But since some amount without maximize the consumers or society, the optimal choice B, inefficient allocation of money, the government sector, people get the level of satisfaction A, fine. That may happen. The government sector. If you are individually rational, it not happen because they are on behalf of people, policymakers and politicians, one who in that way they have different object. not the maximize their satisfaction. The second analysis, what we get, the minimize for expenditure given level of consumption, level of satisfaction. Now, their level of satisfaction given like this. So, let's say the government or you decide this year your satisfaction level, you reach to this amount of independence curve. There you try to get satisfaction, the minimum budget. Minimum budget. So also you reach to this point B, that's the optimal level you can reach. And the A and C also here, also feasible. But you see to get the same amount of utility, if someone decide to buy point A, expend, let's say $120, but the same level of satisfaction if someone expend at least $70, they can get. So you can see, rational consumer is that way. You get the unit of satisfaction, spend 70 and reach point good. Again, if you look at this kind of analysis, taking the private public sector, the public sector mostly happen somewhere here. To the people, an amount of satisfaction, but the government expend, the policymakers and officials spend $120. Why? Efficiency decision, the corruption money may be between 70 to 100, about $20 or $30, because they get some commission and they put that money into their pocket. So you can see many public institutions, especially, I don't say the profession, and they deal with this kind of, they take the, maybe not directly money, maybe some other ways, but in that way, those dealers come, give higher price, not the lower price. That happen, and so other benefit also they use, and at the end the society get same amount of satisfaction. It would have themselves take the decision and buy. But unfortunate situation, this inefficiency and corruption create, and the society. So what I want to say, not the analysis, either consumer maximize utility given budget, what we call subject budget constraint, or minimize expenditure subject to given utility welfare level. The equilibrium point is the same condition. What is the condition? You can see this B point in the both case. Slope of the indifference curve, that is the MRS, that is the slope of the indifference curve, slope of the indifference curve equal slope of the budget line. This is what we call ERS. ERS. Now you can see at this point, whether you minimization or maximization, in that way use the word duality, we can solve the problem. And then the equilibrium point, it is the same condition. MRS equal ERS. So this is the MRS. So this is the ERS. So it doesn't matter maximization or minimization, you can see. Now look at, I give a very simple example. So the exam also comes example like that. Let's say utility function is like this. you got a utility function like this. This is your indifference curve. And let's say the price of $2, price of Y, let's say $4. You have money income, let's say, initially $40. Now, with this, in the condition what I gave you, MRS equal PRS, find the optimal bundle the consumer can afford and buy. And then draw the indifference curve and the budget line and show it. So what we have to do, given this value, find the optimal bundle, how much you buy from X, how much you buy from Y. So I'll give you about 5 minutes. So hope you can do that. Any question? Okay. Look like no question. Please do. I want to see. Yeah.
Sir, you have drew that king budget line regarding the tax. Can you explain it that again, please?
Yeah. So what I say now, let's say the direct tax, not direct tax, and I refer direct tax also you can use that. And let's say the price of X $2. The price of Y, no need to worry about. Let's say $1. Now with that, the amount of money, let's say 100 money income. So you can get the budget line. Here 50, here 100. Now let's say until they will buy certain amount, let's say 20 unit. Government, without this you can buy. In that way, they apply the budget line until 20. Up to these levels, normal budget line because the normal price you get. Then the government say, you buy more than 20, supply, let's say 50% tax. What happened in that way, the price of X increase, if 50% increase become $3. PX now become after tax, become $3. So after that, here the budget line when you draw is coming like this steeper. In that way, the finally the budget line with kind of tax policy become like this at this point because the with the tax it becomes steeper without tax like that. Same thing you can see the subsidies. In subsidies also the budget line and that. I hope you understood.
Yes, sir. Understood. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Now here do this one and then you have to find the how much you buy from X, which means the optimal bundle, how much one buy from Y. I hope you have done. So to look at this condition, first you have to find MRS. So this, you can get the MRS. To get the MRS, you have to find MUX, then MUY. To differentiate this utility function with respect to x, you get the MUX. So answer become 2x y power 2. To find MUY, differentiate with respect to y. You get 2x power 5. Then you can get the MRS, which means MUX divided by MUY. So which means 2x y power 2x power y. So ultimately you get as MRX. So this become the MRX. So the other thing you have to find the ERS, that is the slope of the budget line. So if you get the budget line here, the slope of the budget line become ERS. PX divided by PY. We know PX is 2, PY is 4, then the 2 divided by 4 is the PRS. Now with this first condition, you get the MRS equal PRS between Y divided by X equal 2, 4. So cross multiply, or another way you can this 4y equal 2x. So from this first order condition, you reach to this point, the 4y equal 2x, or another one, 2y equal 1x. Now this 2 unknown y and x, then you need another equation. To get another equation, you know the budget line, px, the px x plus dy y equal m. Here we know px is 2, then 2x plus dy is 4, so 4y equal m40. So if we take this is second equation, now the first equation and second equation, you can find answer to x and y. For example, here the x equal y equal to x. Take that. First equation you plug into the second one, you get the 4y with 2x with this. You can get 4y plus 4y equal 40, which means y equal 40 divide 8, So 8 times 5, the y equals 5. Y, it means you buy a unit. So if you plug this into the first equation, for y, I plug here 5 equal to x. Then you can find x equal 10. Now, which means we buy from x 10 unit. From x 10 unit, from y 5 unit. So if you indifference curve also going like that. So this is the level of satisfaction you get. Sorry, the indifference curve I draw it's wrong. Yeah, this point B. Now the optimal, the demand, or in the other way, optimal bundle you buy from Y, from X10. So that bundle you can go for that optimal level. You can't go Y10 and X10 because the Samya here you can't reach, for example. Not reachable. Not reachable. Now, one more thing with this exercise later on, maybe next week, I will take it again. What happened if the money income change? We should be able to. What happened if the price change? If government impose tax or subsidies, so government impose 36% income tax, what happened? Those things you can look at. Today, the last point, this thing I will discuss next week. Today, the last point. Now, when you buy this bundle, you can estimate your level of satisfaction. Now, you see, that's the important thing. In this, you can measure as an individual how much satisfaction you get. Now, look at if you have estimated the utility function, now you know from X you buy those value there, y u equal utility, x become 10 to power y 5 power, which means 100 multiply 25, which means 25,000 amount of satisfaction or utility. Here the value of this independence curve everywhere, 25,000 level of satisfaction. If you satisfaction consider as the welfare, what you satisfy is your welfare. This is the amount of welfare you get. Now you can see that the government changed the policies, increased tax, giving subsidies, increasing prices. What happened to your welfare? So now in this situation, which means the price is 4, price of Y4 and the money income 40, at the end of the day, you get the 25,000 satisfaction. Okay, 2,500 amount of satisfaction. Now imagine the country has, let's say, 22 million identical people. Identical people. They also buy this both goods. Individual satisfaction in this amount, this multiply by 25,000, you can get the total welfare level this initial stage in the society can get. Let's say kind of 55 million thousand level of satisfaction rate. Now, what we have to understand after that, if the government change the policy, say the impost on PX. Now, same exercise we will do next week. We can see what happened to the social welfare and the individual satisfaction. With that, I'll stop today. Next week, I will continue this point. If I forget, let me know. And if you have any questions, you can ask me right now. Otherwise, I also leave the meeting in 2 minutes. You can leave the meeting also. Otherwise, if you have any question, and the assignment, you can see so many new areas you can look at, like I mentioned, with the debt, domestic debt restructuring game. Like I mentioned, you can check how its willingness to restructure different age of the people, different income level, and gender, male and female, kind of things you can do. So don't worry about failure, because here I looking at the learning exercise. At the same time, I give marks. So with that, so over to you. 2 minutes. After that, you can leave I can leave the meeting. Okay. Thank you very much. Have a long, happy weekend.
Just a small question, sir.
Yeah.
Just I went through the topics. I mean the areas that you have given for the micro assignment. In one case, I found there were like you have given the title. I mean the topic is inflation, use of credit cards, SME and consumer behavior. For example, now if we say like we are trying to do some the assignment on this topic, are we to work out the correlations between two factors, or like
No.
Like all,
whatever you can look at the some two areas, something related to those, you can do, no problem. You identify
so what I was thinking is, sir, like between inflation and use of credit cards, I might be able to find out the data a little easily. So will that be all right, sir?
Yeah, but the thing is, then you at least you look at the how different segment of people, like gender, age, or rural, urban, different education, how they behave. In that way, your research gets more weight. Otherwise, just to maybe nothing at it.
Right. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. So have a long weekend. Bye.